how did you need to shift the way you saw yourself in order to hire the people, make the decisions?
I think I have to remind myself at the end of the day that no one's going to do it for me. You would love for someone to just come in, oh, I'm going to show you how to do everything and take over and make it, fix everything like some magic fairy. But instead, it's on my shoulders to do that. And I really do need to just keep on showing up and keep going.
Today on Life from Within, Kristin McGee shares how she's learned to own her work and her worth, drawing on decades of teaching, a high-profile chapter at Peloton, and now launching her own movement platform while redefining what self-care really means. I'm your host, Kelly Dwyer, executive coach, boy mom, and guide for those ready to live and lead from the inside out. Hi, Kristin. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Kelly. I'm so happy to be here.
It's wonderful to see you and hear your voice. Everyone, we have Kristin McGee here with us today on Life from Within. Kristin is a nationally recognized yoga and Pilates teacher, speaker, mompreneur, and author. With over 3 decades of experience in the fitness and wellness space, she has a continuous roster of high-profile celebrity clients, among those Tina Fey and Steve Martin. She pioneered the launch of Peloton's yoga and Pilates program, and she recently branched out on her own to launch Kristin McGee Movement. Let's start off with what's been happening most recently for you. Tell us about Kristin McGee Movement. What is it?
Kristin McGee Movement is a platform I launched on my own that is really a community for people to find a way to make movement feel good and fun, where I can offer all of the content that I absolutely love to share that I do for myself to make myself feel really good, with a community that wants to be here to not only find that movement from within that makes them feel amazing, but then to create a movement together that's going to help people and make our community, our lives, our world better. So my 3 pillars are flow, sculpt, and connect. The yoga flow, that mobility that I've been doing for many years. The sculpt, that strength, that stability that we need, whether it's through strength training or more of a Pilates type workout. And then the connection, that's the mind-body connection, so that everything we're doing is with that mindfulness and that present state. So there's meditation and then just bringing it all together in this one place.
And I happen to be a member. I subscribed.
Thank
Yes.
you.
As a subscriber, I can take classes, all the different types of classes that you just described, the flow, the sculpt, and connect. When you say community, tell me more about what's the vision for how someone like me who's subscribing would interact with other people in the community.
We have a community chat. And so you can go on there and ask people questions. You can introduce yourself. You can meet friends. We can share workouts. I have live classes that I'm doing as well now. I have both the option to do it where I'm leading and everyone can follow, and also Zoom classes. So in those Zoom classes, I want it to feel more like a studio when you go to a yoga studio and you see each other practicing as well, or at least you feel each other practicing. And it gives me the option to be able to see you and say, oh, hey, adjust your leg here, or give little form cues that might really help people then take it to their practice to the next level. And then also in the community chat, I'll share recipes. I have a calendar that people can follow if they want to. I want to start introducing some challenges so that we can have fun together, almost like book club. Let's pick a 21-day routine, and every day I'm going to give you a different workout to do, and we'll see how we feel at the end of those 21 days.
I love that. The challenge would be particularly welcome given the season we're coming into with Halloween candy and Thanksgiving and the holiday busyness. Here on Life from Within, we explore the personal growth that comes with recovering from career setbacks, making a career pivot, or perhaps up-leveling in our career and moving into the next level. When I introduced you, your bio said recently branched out on your own, which is true, but it's not 100% true, because your career, you started out acting, then you moved to yoga teaching, you did MTV DVDs. I've been following your career all along. I think, in fact, you and I think first connected through Lululemon in New York City.
Yes.
2005, 6, 7, somewhere around there.
Oh my gosh, isn't that wild?
Yes, long time ago. And so you actually had many years on your own. You were out doing one-on-one yoga classes, you were teaching on camera. You were teaching in all the best gyms and studios around the city. So then you moved into Peloton, and you joined Peloton in 2018, as I
Yes.
understand it. And that was probably your first full-time gig
Oh,
where you
100.
were, so
Isn't
you
that
were,
so funny? It's the first time I ever worked for a corporation and had like a 401k plan and benefits.
right. So that was different for you. I bet that,
So
and in
different.
some ways it was probably a bit of a surrender.
Oh, very good wording. It was like having to really learn how to work in this different environment where you're not in control of your schedule and your clients and your content even, because there was, as much as I could create my own playlist and my own classes, there was still an outline and kind of the rigidity of having to work for a larger corporation where they're putting together the whole puzzle. So the production schedule has to then fit all the different instructors in. And there was a format with the way we outlined our yoga classes. So you're right. It was all of a sudden a very different way of working.
What did you learn about yourself in that process?
Oh, I learned a lot of things. I learned one that surprisingly I could pick up new things at any stage in my life, which I love. I love being challenged and pushed outside of my comfort zone, especially when you get so used to doing things a certain way and it becomes routine and becomes not easy, but I could walk into a yoga class and I'd had so many years of teaching yoga that I could just kind of come up with a class plan on the fly and feel the room and then adjust however I wanted to. Where with Peloton, it was very structured. I'd have to really think about my classes and write down every single move and then playlist. And so it was really fun to start listening to music again and creating really fun playlists. There was also a piece of me that would get a little frustrated because I'm impatient and I was like, have so many ideas and I want to share so many classes and I can't, I would be teaching a class every single day if it were up to me. So that was where it was a little tricky where, I can't just, do everything I want to when I want to.
Yeah. Did you feel like you were on a team? Did you have teammates? Did you have to collaborate with the team?
Oh, I would say yes and no. In some respects, you're kind of in a silo because you're doing your own classes when you're teaching. And for the members that you'd hear feedback from, it was amazing. So I definitely felt like I had a community because the community was so amazing. And especially this community of people that were taking my classes. Teammates, yes, I have incredible colleagues that I would see in the locker room and we'd be getting ready to teach each one of our classes. We had this really fun banter a lot of times in the locker room, or I'd get ideas from my teammates that would be like even makeup ideas because we'd have to do our own hair and makeup, or I would see the way they would batch their playlisting. If they were making a playlist for one class, they might start making them for others at the same time. So there was a lot of that great bouncing ideas off of each other, which was really nice.
That's great. That reminds me a little bit of how I get to interact with some of my coaching colleagues. We'll share ideas about how do you approach this or what's the process you use for that. Okay, so you were at Peloton full time, 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
You had 3 kids in that period of time, right?
Timothy was pre-Peloton 2013. He's my oldest. And then Robert and William are my twins, and they were 2016. And so they were only 2 years old when I started. I remember when I had an interview with a woman named Kristin. At the time, she was running production or something, and she was like, do you have a good nanny? And I was like, yeah. And she goes, I hope so. Like, you're going to go from scheduling your life, being home with the kids, to like, you're on call when you need to be here, you're going to be here. So thank goodness I had such an incredible nanny, and she was my right-hand woman, and she was there to help out if I had a 7 p.m. class or a 7 a.m. class. So it was definitely kind of shocking at first to go from having that flexibility and freedom as a mom to then being in a role where, I have to really follow this corporate job. So it was different.
You say the flexibility of being a mom to go into a corporate job, but you weren't not working. There was the mom work, but there was also your professional work.
I still had my private clients before Peloton, and I was still teaching some Equinox classes. I could just make my own schedule a little bit more.
Yes. Yeah. More flexibility. You owned your own calendar.
That's what I meant. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Yep. There's a big difference. Difference between owning your own calendar and a company that owns your calendar.
Yeah. Very, very true. Right? Yeah.
Okay. So you were at Peloton and now you're not there. So tell me, how did that happen? What was the impetus for the move away?
Well, I loved, first of all, what you said, going back to when you said I'm branching out on my own. You're right. For the most part, I was pretty much always on my own, teaching classes at numerous locations and studios and seeing my own privates and organizing all my own schedule, and then doing fun side jobs like writing for Health Magazine or working on Home Shopping Network or making the DVDs and things like that along the way, working for Lululemon even, right? And then got into this corporate job, this corporate role at Peloton from 2018 to 2024, which I loved, learned a ton. And also during the pandemic, to be there for all of these people was amazing. And then 2024, so I had filed for divorce in 2021. And in 2024, they were starting to change some contracts around so that they would have, some instructors teaching more part-time. And it was hard for me to figure out how that would work for me as a single mom. If you're the only one running the schedule and watching your kids and making the income, it was just like, okay, I think this is going to be a lot for me right now. So let me see what I can do if I step outside of Peloton and go back to what you were saying earlier, the creativity of and the flexibility of having my own schedule, being my own boss.
So there were some very real external forces motivating a change,
Yes, for
both
sure.
within the company and within your personal life.
Exactly.
Despite the external motivating forces, did the transition or the idea of going back out on your own, did it feel scary? Was it wholly exciting? What did it feel like?
That is such a good question. It felt both. It was mixed. It was really exciting in some ways. And then it was also very scary in other ways. Wow. It's kind of that more risk, more rewards type of feeling as well. Okay, if I dive off, if I jump out of this and go out on my own, it's a lot more risky, but in the long run, it could be a lot more rewarding too. I loved the 6 years that I had, but I did also feel like I could maybe have more creativity and bring in some more parts of myself that I wasn't actually quite able to do within those confines.
So the creativity was also a motivating force. So you were
Yes.
excited, you were a little fearful of the change, the prospect of greater creative control even, or just access to greater creative channels for you. Did you have the vision for the movement app and the movement platform, movement community then?
Not quite. We had a 1-year non-compete. And so then I was also just kind of like, let me get my bearings. Let me kind of meditate a lot, listen to my inner voice, figure out what would be the next right steps, because there are a lot of different things you could do. You could put videos up on YouTube or go back to teaching regular studio classes and seeing private clients and not even having another platform or community where I think a lot of it was a combination of these requests and people reaching out to me saying, oh my gosh, I loved your classes. I missed your classes. I would love to keep taking yoga with you, fresh yoga, right? So my classes are still up on Peloton, but people love having this feeling that it's a new class and it's a new experience each time. And so I think there was one, just the people asking me. And then two, I loved this idea of owning my content so that if I did ever want to put it up on YouTube, I could, or if I did decide to pivot someday, I could. But now I have full ownership. And so I think, that's the hard part with Peloton. I've created so many classes. I have this beautiful, huge library of content that was all of my creation. And I don't have access to any of it, or I don't own any of it. There's so many classes I just loved, especially like the family content that I love. It's a really nice feeling to know that no matter what happens with this, I at least have the content and I own it.
Yes. What's coming to mind is Taylor Swift. Kristin's version.
Yes, exactly. Where she's like, I'm going to buy back my music.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. You said in one of your previous podcast episodes, I have decades of choreography and creativity in me. It's time to own my work and create the movement I want to see. And my experience of going through your classes on the app, your choreography, it seems effortless. It's a result of decades of practice and mastery, but I love it. It just flows from one to the next to the next.
Oh, thank you. I do love that aspect of creating classes, is creating a choreography that feels like it flows, that feels dance-like, so that you get into this rhythm with your body and your mind and your breath. And before you know it, class is over because you're just so immersed in the experience.
There isn't much time for the monkey mind to start going.
Good.
Yes.
Okay, that
So
makes
that's
me feel
good.
good. Yeah. Yep.
It's not so fast that I'm out of breath and I can't keep up, but it's fast enough that the mind doesn't start chattering.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's that moving meditation.
I'm curious to hear more about the personal journey, the inner transformation that you had to go through to birth the app. What about it was hard or challenging for you?
I would say everything was hard and challenging. First of all, I have a hard time making decisions. I definitely do. So because I have all this ideas and all this inside me, I want to get it all out there. I have a hard time deciding how, where, when, why, what company do I use? And I think I dragged my heels for a long time before I finally decided on which white label app I was going to host all of the content on, just to start with. I also think that, my expertise is in the creation of the classes and my teaching, and I love that, but it's not really in production, studio lighting, audio visuals. It took me so long to figure out microphones and audio and how am I going to make it sound good. I'm the type who wants to shoot a class and get it up and get it to my community right away. So having to have that patience is a big thing I'm working on. And then also finding good teammates and good partners that are going to help with the aspects that I'm not good at, being able to just delegate and say, hey, you're really good at editing. Will you help me with this? Or you're really good at figuring out how to communicate with my audience, right? I want to make sure that I'm building a really good audience and having a way to communicate better via emails or the community chat. I think it's just such a huge learning curve when you're running your entire own business and company. The hard thing is I don't have enough time to shoot as much as I want to. I have so much content still in my head.
How did you need to shift your identity or the way you saw yourself in order to hire the people, make the decisions?
I think I have to remind myself at the end of the day that no one's going to do it for me. Just like when I was on this 58-mile bike ride, it was 58 miles in the Sawtooth Mountains in Idaho, and you have to hike up, I don't even know how many thousands of feet. And then you go all the way out to this campsite and all the way back. And it was so intense. It started raining on me. There was no cell service. I kept wanting someone to drive by and just pick me up. But I was like, nope, the only person that's going to get me through this is me. And I'm going to have to just keep on pedaling until I finally make it to the end. And I kind of feel that's the same way with having your own business. Really, at the end of the day, you can surround yourself with good people and people who are there to help you, but you're the one running the show. You're the one pedaling the bike. You're the one who has to keep the wheels moving or else, you're just going to stop. And when you do feel that exasperation or like things aren't working, you would love for someone to just come in. Oh, I'm going to show you how to do everything and take over and fix everything like some magic fairy. But instead, it's on my shoulders to do that. So I need to just figure it out and hunker down and not beat myself up if there's certain things that didn't work right away. I mean, this is still a process and I'm still learning and growing. I think it's that giving yourself grace, but also reminding yourself that I'm in charge, I'm the leader, and I really do need to just keep on showing up and keep going.
I love that when you said, no one's going to do it for me. There's that quote that I think of a lot. No one can do it for you, but you don't have to do it alone.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I really like that.
You said earlier, I have trouble making decisions. Each of us has our own different ways or styles of making decisions. I'm a slower decision maker than some people, and I envy those folks that are just super decisive and they can just make these decisions so fast.
Yeah.
Have you learned how to work with your own decision making style?
I'll tell you, I think what helps me the most is my meditation practice. I have a twice daily 20-minute practice that I do. And every time I start to get in my own way and over analyze things or overthink things, I think maybe that's part of my problem with making decisions is that I tend to kind of start to just overanalyze it all and worry about, well, what if and what if that? And so then I sit, I have my meditation, I clear my mind, I take a deep breath, and I start to feel what resonates with me, which one is feeling the best. I had met with all these different people who had different ways of working with me and making the app. And at the end of the day, I finally rested on the one that felt the most just comfortable for now and seemed to resonate the most. And so I think that having that touch base with myself is huge because we do get a lot of external information these days. And you could go down a rabbit hole if you start, even if you just Google, oh, what's the best microphone to buy? The next thing you know, you've spent 2 hours, researching microphones. So it can get overwhelming.
It can get overwhelming very fast. So the meditation is your way to take some of the heat out of the mental process of, well, what about this? What about that? What about that? Well, then there's that. And then there's that option.
Yes.
Yeah.
It helps me feel more and tap in and not just get into my head.
What permission did you need to give yourself to step into founder mode, to be a founder, to be an entrepreneur?
Ooh, that's a very good question. You know what you have to give yourself? And I spoke to another amazing fitness person who has her own app and everything as well. And she said, you have to be very confident. You have to be confident in yourself because there are going to be so many bumps along the way and so many times that you want to give up and so many times when you listen to the outside noise. And if it was easy, everyone would be doing it. So I think that you really have to remind yourself, I'm confident in my skills and I can do this. It's this constant looking in the mirror and just saying, okay, I got this. I have to remind my boys that over and over again too. You know, you got this. Just be confident. Be confident in who you are. Don't be cocky. Don't think you know it all. Don't be arrogant, but definitely own yourself, own who you are. And I think when you show up, flaws and all, but you own yourself, that confidence shines through and it's very magnetic,
I like that word, magnetic.
right?
Yeah. I believe in that. When we believe in ourselves, it makes it that much easier for others to believe in us as well.
Yes, very true.
Yeah.
Hmm.
The app has been out for a little over a month.
Little over a month. Yes.
How are you getting the word out?
Very good question. Well, this might help as
Yeah.
well
Yeah.
as letting people know through my social channels. So through my social media outlets on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, doing more podcasts, collaborating with people on their newsletters, finding fun ways to partner with people who want to maybe offer the app for a month for their users, you know, doing the 21-day challenge, I think is going to be really fun because once I have that all set, there might be a way to get a lot more people involved. Even if they just want to try the 21-day challenge and call it a day, that's fine. But hopefully it will inspire them to really get moving and get more consistent because I think that's really the key component with any sort of movement. Find something you love and be consistent with it. That's also a part of the learning curve of my business is marketing, you know, marketing 101. I have my amazing assistant who helps me with social media. And she's always like, you just got to get better at selling, Kristen. Like, don't be afraid to sell yourself, you know, like sell your app and be proud of it. Like you gotta feed your boys.
I guess that's what is feeling hard for you now is the marketing piece of it. Is the production piece, that's all
I
in
think I'm getting
place?
that more and more dialed in. And I know that as revenue comes in, I can put that back into creating higher produced quality if I want to invest in different newer cameras, lighting, all of that. The main thing I wanted to get out there was the classes and the teaching. I'm excited to keep finessing that part. But then you're right, the marketing I think is a whole nother component. For me too, especially it is more about just finding that inner community that feels really safe and comfortable with each other. And then hopefully that kind of word will get out and they'll tell their friends and their friends will tell their friends and it will become more of this organic kind of grassroots spread because then you've got people there who really want to be there and, you know, are really enjoying things, hopefully.
I love this.
Right?
Great. Well, first of all, yes, from your lips to God's ears, organic spreading, people sharing it with their friends. And it's so funny because your marketing person is telling you, you have to sell more. And over here, you're
Yes.
saying, I'd love it if it was just organic.
Yeah, just let people find it. I guess it's got to be like a healthy balance, right? We need to
Right.
find the balance of, and I do think, you know, because I love it and I love the movement and I love the classes I've created, it's not even like I really have to sell it. I just have to
Right.
remind people that it's there and show people what classes are there and say, you know, here's some really fun Pilates with props classes. Here's some great yin yoga classes. Here's some meditations that you can do. Just keep reminding people that what is there, what is waiting for you that's going to really enhance your life in so many ways. Hopefully it's one of these things that people love to open up and return to. You know, the worst thing in the world is when you feel like you have to do something. When you feel like you get to do something, that's the excitement I want around my app, where it's, yes, I get to get on my mat this morning and feel so much better in my body today type of thing. I think too that because I'm here with you and going through it with you, that's a really nice thing about having this more intimate connection with the community where people can reach out to me or say, you know, my knees are really bothering me. Can you create an entire class programmed for achy knees, you know? Or people will reach out to me and say, my lower back's really been bothering me. And I'm like, oh, great, let's get a healthy back class up.
Great. So the community is an opportunity for real-time feedback as well.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, I do have a question, a technical question. In yoga,
Mm-hmm.
much of the time we're inhaling when we're expanding the body, right?
Yes. When we're lifting up,
Yes.
exactly. And then exhaling as we're going forward or going back or going down.
Yes.
Or like, so when you go deeper into a pose, you might be exhaling into that stretch.
Yes. Sometimes in Pilates, it feels as if teachers cue inhaling even as I'm folding forward or starting to come together. I have trouble. How do I keep my core engaged, but also inhale at the same time? Right?
Right. I hear you too, because, well, a lot of times in Pilates, even when we do double leg stretch, we inhale, extend everything long, we exhale, curl everything in. So there's those kind of similarities with yoga. But then also, I think a lot of times on an exhalation in Pilates, it's an opportunity to deepen the connection to your core. And then inhalation, you're still trying to keep that deeper core connection. That's why we talk about more lateral breathing in Pilates, where we're trying to breathe into the sides of the waist, into the sides of the back. We're not really doing as big of abdominal breaths like we would do in yoga, where you really
Okay.
let your belly expand on the inhale. In Pilates, you want to keep a little bit of that tension in your core. So when you inhale, it fills up more of the back, sides of the waist. And as you exhale, you even deepen that core connection. I can see where you can get confused because Pilates has a little bit of a different breath work style.
Yes.
And we're breathing through our nose on the inhale and out through the mouth on the exhale.
Yes.
That exhalation through the mouth, again, gets that deeper transverse connection.
Okay.
For yoga, you're just breathing in and out through the nose the entire time.
The ujjayi breath. Yeah.
Yes.
So I love the direction you gave for Pilates. Think more expanding laterally and expanding into the back. So the next time I'm taking a Pilates class and I'm a little confused about the breath or trying to breathe into the front of the abdomen, I'll remind myself to go laterally
To breathe
into the back.
lateral breath. Exactly. That helped me a lot during my diastasis or after. So I had my twins and I developed what's called diastasis, which is, or diastasis. They pronounce it both ways, but it's a split of the linea alba where that connective tissue tears. And for a lot of people, it naturally comes back, but for some it doesn't, especially depending on how old you were, multiple pregnancies, twin birth, all of that, right? But if I was to keep breathing out into my belly, I'm only making it worse. So I had to really learn to breathe into my back. And sometimes I would do it in a rounded child's pose and really inflate more the back of my body and then exhaling, feel that connection or gathering in the front.
Okay. That's great. And you actually don't you have a series on the app for diastasis?
Yes, a 21-day diastasis program for people. Yes. And that's even just a standalone bundle if someone just wanted to buy that separately and do a 21-day diastasis program, because that really helped me a lot. And even if you don't have diastasis, it's a good program because it really teaches, to your point, how to breathe laterally, how to engage your transverse abdominals, which are your deepest core layer, how to connect to the pelvic floor. So it's all very good, even just for someone who wants a good, deep core 21-day program.
Great. Can we switch gears a little bit?
Yes.
I wanted to go check out the books that you had written, and I saw that there is a book that is available for pre-order. It's a new book, and it's called The Treat Yourself Philosophy, a Guilt-Free Guide to Prioritizing You.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me, what does treating yourself really mean to you?
Okay, this is really important. And I'm really excited about this book launch because I break the acronym down to truly realizing everything is already there. So what happens, I think, a lot of times is we start to lose sight of ourselves. Like we were talking earlier about the meditation and coming back and listening to ourselves to make decisions even, right? So when we truly realize that everything is already inside of us, I always used to say at the end of my practice, even always remind yourself that everything you could possibly ever want, have, or need is right here inside of you. We have this internal guide that is passionate, that is curious, that has desires, that wants to be nurtured and fulfilled. And I think we start to cut that person off And I don't know when or how or why it happens. As kids, we're not really that way. If something sounds good, we do it. If we want something, we grab it. I know I need this. I want this. And not in like a selfish, greedy way, but I think in a way that's like very authentic to what you're feeling and what you need. If kids are tired, they're going to take a nap. It doesn't matter where it is. They're tired. They sleep. As adults, we're tired. The last thing we'll give ourselves is that nap. It's almost like, nope, we're going to power through. We're going to struggle. We're going to, so I wanted people to have this 30-day treat sheet and give themselves one treat every single day that's different every day. So, because you can also fall back on having a piece of dark chocolate every day and that's your treat, and then it starts to get old and stale and it's not really a treat anymore because you're just doing it all the time. And that used to happen to me. So I love this idea of really expanding back into all these other areas of your life. We look at it as a more holistic way. And we have small treats, we have big treats, we have treats we can save up for, whether it's that big vacation to France or Paris. But along the way, if you can't go to Paris tomorrow, you can also bring Paris to you. You can treat yourself to sitting in a cafe for a day and having an espresso. You could go to an art class. So I want people to just start to find little moments and little ways to treat themselves every day, because I think the more we treat ourselves, the better we treat ourselves, the happier we are. And I really do feel like we start to lose sight of the things that bring us so much joy. And it doesn't even have to be that enormous, like sometimes the best treat you can give yourself is just to go check out the sunset at night. You walk over
Mm-hmm.
to a peak and watch the sunset, or call a friend that you haven't spoken to in years. I give lots of different options, lots of different ideas. It ultimately boils down to you getting to know yourself the best, because only you know how to treat yourself and what's going to really bring you joy. So
Yes.
it's also kind of this way of self-discovering again. Oh, what is it? And no mistakes, no judgment whatsoever. What if you decided to treat yourself to some decadent chocolate cake one day and you're like, you know what, that made me feel like shit. Well,
Yeah.
great. Then you learn, then you know, right?
Yeah.
Because so often we don't even give ourselves that treat. Oh no, I can't have the chocolate cake. But the second you give yourself that, it's not even that big a deal anymore. And you might be like, you know what? That was an okay treat, but tomorrow I'd actually really like to go pick myself some flowers, or pick up some flowers.
This
Okay.
sounds great. And we teach what we need to learn. So I'm imagining that you had to embody this in order to be able to
Yes.
write about this.
Yes.
How did you go from the person who ignored that part of you or delayed, okay, maybe later,
They gotta
another
pick
day, right?
yeah.
To the person who gives yourself permission to treat yourself every day.
I mean, I think I'm still a work in progress. And I think that is another reason why I wrote this book, is because I have definitely been the type of person over the years who, I'll work an extra hour before I'll go out to dinner with a friend. I'll not splurge on the high-heeled shoes because they're way too expensive. I'm never going to buy that. Or I'm not going to go get a facial. Why would I do that? And I think probably, especially going through divorce and just realizing how important it is. The way we want to be treated is really how we have to treat ourselves. And so, in order to find a partner or a person who's going to treat us with compassion and care and kindness, we have to do that for ourselves as well, right? And so I think that, that almost made me cry for a second, because sometimes I do think that I can be my own worst enemy, and I'm sure we all can. We beat ourselves up. We don't think we're this enough or that enough. We don't think we deserve the treat. It's even weird for me sometimes now when people applaud me or congratulate me on these new successes in my career. There's still this little Kristin inside me that's like, oh, but do I really deserve this? Am I really that good? So it's really tough. I think it's very hard for us to fully embrace all of the magic that we are and to just truly appreciate ourselves.
What do you say to the Kristen inside? What is there a phrase or a mantra, or what's the self-talk you use to the Kristen inside when, am I really that good? Or do I really deserve that?
The mantra that keeps coming up every morning when I wake up and do my first meditation of the day, and I have a mantra that was given to me. It's a Vedic mantra that taps you into your meditation. It's kind of like transcendental meditation. But then I'll be in my meditation, and every now and then little things will come up. But I keep having this pure healing energy that keeps flooding over my body. feeling healthy is feeling healed, right? Like we're healing ourselves and all of the scars and things that have happened to us in our life, the negative things that may have affected us. And so this pure healing energy, just constantly bathing myself in pure healing energy. So I think when we tap into this lighter part of ourselves and this healthier part of ourselves and know that we're healing, that we can't go back and ever beat ourselves up for things that we regret or think that we didn't do well, and we can't be over anxious about the future. I think we just have to sit in this present day state of light and healing energy. And so underneath this whole treat yourself philosophy is, again, it's like coming back to this place of healing and well-being. And we learn that through real listening to ourselves.
Yes, and reminding ourselves to trust ourselves.
Yes, exactly. That's the other part of the treat thing. It's like, you know, try it. Just trust yourself. Trust yourself that you are going to treat yourself with what you actually need.
Yeah. A phrase that has been coming up a lot for me lately is you can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so
Right?
doing those things every day that help fill my cup just a little
Yes.
bit.
Just a little bit and
Fill it
something
rather than
different.
drain
And
it.
yes.
Yeah.
And you'll see people, on social media and all these people coming at you and telling you what you need to feel good as opposed to listening inside, because what makes someone feel good in one way isn't what's going to, float your boat, as opposed to, well, wait, let me feel it from the inside out and actually treat myself to what makes me feel good and not be ashamed of it.
What inner quality are you working on cultivating now to take you forward into what's next?
Definitely peace, this peaceful feeling of being in the moment. I have sometimes an uncomfortable feeling with not having things to do, the non-busyness. Like there's been, especially when I was at Peloton, oh my gosh, I'd open up my inbox and there would be a deluge of emails, a lot of emails, and now there's some days where on a Sunday I might refresh my inbox and there's no new emails. Oh, okay. I can chill. I don't need to have the busyness around me all of the time. I can just give myself a little bit more freedom to be. And I guess it's maybe like when we're kids, when there's discomfort around being bored, where sometimes being bored is a good thing because that's when we tap into other parts of ourselves and our creativity. So I think now I'm just going to allow myself to be, at peace with not having a to-do list that's on my mind all the time.
Where do you want to point people to find out more about the work, to go deeper with you?
Okay, KristinMcGee.com. So it's Kristin with an I, Kristin, McGee.com, Kristin McGee Movement. You'll see right when you open up my website. You have a 7-day free trial. Actually, everyone listening today gets a 30-day, a month free trial, which is very exciting.
Yes.
And Kristin McGee on Instagram and Kristin_McGee on TikTok. And I share my Tuesday tip every Tuesday. So if anyone ever has a question, like I really want to learn my crow pose, or I'm really having trouble, like you were saying, learning how to breathe in Pilates, I'll give those tips every Tuesday, which is kind of nice. I've been sharing some fun recipes recently as well, which I'm trying to get much more into cooking and baking for the kids and for me. And I would love it if people wanted to pre-order the Treat Yourself philosophy.
Okay. So you can pre-order the book, go check out the app, the Movement app, mobile and or desktop, and follow Kristin on social. And of course, I'll put all of those links in the show notes for everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to Life from Within. If you'd like to experience Kristin's classes and community firsthand, she's offering Life from Within listeners 30 days free on her platform, Kristin McGee Movement. Just visit KristinMcGee.com and use the code LIFEFROMWITHIN at checkout. Code is good until November 26th. See the show notes for all the links and resources mentioned in today's episode. If you enjoyed our conversation, please subscribe, follow, and share it with friends and family who might enjoy it too. You can also leave a review. It helps others discover and benefit from the podcast. Until next time, keep living and leading from the inside out.